All right, our next installment of the 2A history project is our 2A library. So already we have worked on the 2A history as far as activists and organizations. So we have started with some cards that, well, these were the prototypes, so they really don't have too much format. They represent the various gun owners' rights groups, Second Amendment groups that are out there, and they have information about them and their logos. So we have that first deck that we worked on had those organizations and then activists. So the guys that invented the NRA, and then going forward, the various activists and researchers, authors, attorneys, and people involved in court cases. So that was our first effort with the 2A history project, and this next project is the library. So together, these were about that thick. The library's a little thicker, so spent some time on this. I got a little involved and probably took it too far, but this is part of an overall project, so hopefully in the future you see how these will fit in. So I'm going to use this, one of the reasons we're working on this kind of stuff is to help put our Second Amendment history, our fights, in perspective. So you can see as we start to look at our Second Amendment vigilance over the years from different lights, it gives us better awareness of what we've got out there as far as resources and efforts that have already been done. And part of learning what's already happened is reading, right? So that's the card on that first deck. And if I can get this thing open, this is the library deck. But this is also the effort in the new format. I recently did this deck of the AK library with the yellow stripe down the side, and I liked this format. It worked well, and as fun as it was to play with the AK stuff, figured it's more worthwhile to work on the Second Amendment stuff. So it's pretty interesting research, going back and looking at some of the first stuff that we have out there, keeping track of what type of it is, like if it's a magazine or a paperback or a hardcover, what kind of content it is primarily, if it's educational, for example, or if it's mostly pictures, and then maybe it's an instructional manual, and then what if it's text or if it's images, and then whatever relevant information. So what we're looking at, the first thing, and there might be other ones we'll add to the library, but just like the AK library, it allows us to have the entire library in your hand. This is a lot of books in your hand. So I went with the green stripe on this, and you got some info on the side, and then you've got the dates. So again, starting with the rifle, which is a weekly periodical that then turned into Shooting and Fishing, which turned into another one. It'll tell us in here, and then it eventually turns into American Rifleman. So this was the NRA's magazine. It was one of the first firearms things we had out there. You get your first Field and Stream and your first Outdoor Life. These all happened before the turn of the century. That's one of the iterations of the American Rifleman, Arms and the Man. And then I put some of the merit badge stuff in here for scouts. But then you see the first American Rifleman back in 1923. Some of the first firearms books were for self-defense. So we have some of those. Then we've got some of the first annuals and other periodicals like Shotgun News started in 1946. Some of the first magazine, or the first issues of the magazines. And again, some annuals. I've included some magazines that were influential in anti-gun, either rhetoric or signify a change in their campaigns. So this should give us plenty of information to talk about in future videos, and as part of an overall campaign to help put history in perspective, using a format that I'm liking. We can use this in the cards, in these flashcards. We can also use these in other formats going forward. So not only does this signify a deck of cards in my hand here, which should be an interesting way to help talk about some of these books and the authors, and again, the history of 2A, but it'll also, this shows, this is a bunch of electronic work that's already been done, so we're accumulating a bunch of electronic work. You can check that out over at Minuteman University for now, and the 2A History Project. So this is the result of the time that our Patreons have allowed us to take on an effort like this, and this is something that's, it's not something that no one's ever going to buy, so this isn't a product, this is an effort to get our 2A history like this wrapped up in a different way, so we can understand it all. We can all understand it better, and move along further. So that's a quick look at a giant stack of cards that represent our 2A library. With this format, I should be able to include more books, more relevant books that we can use to talk about our Second Amendment and firearms. So you can tell I'm missing a bunch of military books in here, and this is hopefully just the beginning of a bigger ongoing project. Let us know in the comments what you think, and if you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, be part of this whole thing, then head over to Patreon and check us out there. Thanks for watching.
The guys and gals at gunwebsite.com encourage you to take a CCW course every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.